Sup shitters, my name is Logan, aka Spiderhands, and welcome to SP Reviews, where today we're going to be checking out the latest album from an act named Ellis Hadlock, titled As Time Goes On in the Universe. And if we switch over to here, I've got it on full screen, we're going through the Ellis Hadlock music website, which is always very good. Ellis Hadlock is quite prolific. We've got a total of 14 albums here. Now, I'm pretty sure that I've reviewed Fusion to Love. And I'm pretty sure that I've reviewed Nature in Space, so that I've had a great time with their music so far, and we've got another 9 tracks today, and we're going to listen through each of these tracks from start to finish, and we're going to hear what we think. Let's go. First track, Treasure Every Second. Before I go any further, we've got little descriptions here underneath, which is nice. I mean, like this album, for example, enjoy this ambient, positive, and relaxing film/fantasy music for meditation, study, or just to calm and light your day. I mean, you know you're going to have a good time when you've got that off the bat, right? I love Ellis Hadlock's instrumental music. And for this track, I'll read the little descriptors before we get into them for everyone. I just want to set the scene for the rest of the album review. Treasure every second, life is precious, cherish the happy moments. Fantastic. Back to the review. Back to the listen, I mean. Nice padding of the instruments, nice and wide. Beautiful dynamic range there. It's very peaceful, isn't it? Nice unity with the harmony with the strings and the piano here. Is that a pan flute or something? I adore it. I love how gentle everything is, you know? A little bit of development in that piano part there as we go along, which is smart. You know, you don't want to just sit on the same piano theme even if you've got change happening with the other parts of the arrangement. You can add a few extra notes in there, kind of spice it up and sort of mature it a little bit. As long as it makes thematic sense, you know? Or more so tonal sense, especially in an instrumental piece like this. Nice resolution here. Fantastic reverb chains. Or reverb tails, should I say. These are, I'm not even sure how you would describe these synth parts. These, I don't know whether that's Foley or something like that. I mean, I know it's their instruments. It's incredible sound design. Like, without hyperbole, you typically, if not always, impressed with what Ellis Hadlock puts out with this kind of stuff. I don't come across it that often, at least not to the quality that we have within this album here, or within their previous work. A little bit wider in the stereo field now. Great. Great. It's kind of nice that we got it in the extreme left and right, so the stereo field as opposed to the mid, kind of 30% on either side. Nice to have the different instruments taking precedence, you know. Sometimes the strings are a little bit more kind of prominent. Sometimes the piano comes in and has a little bit of a crescendo and an accent here and there. There's a really lovely sub-bass resonance on that string section there that evens out the brightness of the other parts of the mix. Nice balancing there on the equalization. It's just so charming, you know? It is just so charming and adorable and kind and gentle. And when you're left with a track that doesn't have words in it, you're left to kind of fill in the blanks as a listener. And I have a lovely time with that, with music like this, because you're not stressed or kind of sort of like pushed towards a conclusion by the harmonies or melodies or any of the other devices that we have on display with the composition. It does give you time to cherish the happy moments as per the descriptor for this track. Treasure every second. And with that, 4 minutes has passed. Nice, excellent. And that was sort of a majorish kind of lift that we had at the end there. But again, it was reasonably restrained at the same time. Now, we clearly have someone who knows how to arrange these different instruments in a way which makes sense tonally and also from like a direction of it, you know, because we are trying to tell a story through the music if we're not telling it through the story, like words. And kind of like how we kind of resolve like that. It's almost like, hey, did you have a good time thinking about that stuff? Hopefully you ended up on something positive. Fantastic so far. Great introduction to Ellis Hadlock's work. It's fantastic to see that they're still putting out material. I enjoy that a lot. I really hope that they do find work in the cinematic sort of area in that field, you know. I'm hoping they are doing stuff with movies and short films and stuff, you know. We got As Time Goes On in the Universe, number 2. Similar tonality to what we had with the previous track. Some of the coloration there with the strings is... Oh. Now, is this a Sawona or an Uruhu or something like that? Again, there's this shimmery kind of pad-like effect going on in the mids to highs. Again, the equalization is part of what makes this so effective. It seems like you're floating through the clouds, you know, and that space thing up high, it makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. I like that gradual build of the volume there, and that comes from those layers being increased there. It's not like we're playing the instruments more, and it's also filling out the stereo field, you know, going wider there, adding more of a presence to it. And as time goes on, ponder, smile, and make the best in your earthly travels of our universe. See, that's really sweet. It kind of makes me feel better about the idea of going into space, you know? Because that's something that might happen in my lifetime. I mean, already thinking about, sending people to Mars. Even if that's a one-way, who knows what could be happening in 20 to 30 years' time. Oh, lovely harmonies there, dude. Almost also has like a trance string kind of vibe there. But when we go to those sort of 3rd and 6th harmonies and stuff like that, a bit of complexity maybe with those 7ths. Oh, and a new texture here, a new voice. Good choice. Good choice here to bring that in. I wasn't expecting it, and I love the fact that you can't expect it, you know? You can't predict what's going to happen next, and that's part of what makes it fun and interesting. There's a clear desire to avoid unnecessary tension within the harmony. I know I've said harmony a lot, within the arrangement of the track. Lots of lovely legato passages here, not trying to have too many sort of like percussive short notes. But yeah, definitely is meditative, you know. I mean, like, I could just close my eyes and happily just listen to this without talking. That's the kind of music this is. You don't need to, you can just be with it. And that's not something you can have with every single song that you listen to. Some songs will pull at you and constantly want your attention. Other songs will repel you just for whatever reason, even if they're minor inconveniences. But as time goes on in the universe, alongside treasure every second, are more welcoming, you know? Like they're giving you like a warm blanket and a cup of tea and telling you to sit down and just have a good time. You know? And you know that because music is so subjective, that whenever people close their eyes, they're always going to imagine something different. And that's the beauty about instrumental music, is that you have the ability to have that different individual journey with it. That's why I hope that Ellis Hadlock finds success with their music, or more so than they may have already had, because it's well written. I think it's on par for where you need to be and what you need to be doing in order to, you know, be able to find success with this. But just this here. Again, the melodies aren't particularly complex or technical, but it's the emotion and the approach to the way they're voiced. That slow build there. We're not rushing. We're trying to get you to kind of reach out to you as a listener. We're trying to get you to feel these things. And there's changes in their dynamic range as well. Changes in the perceived loudness of it. It's loud without pumping, you know. Nothing's been crushed. It's allowed to breathe. I mean, I adore this, like, unconditionally. It's just so nice. Like, this is the kind of music I think that we need at this point in time as well, because it is so relaxing and so supportive of you, that as a listener, especially with all the stressful stuff going out in the, you know, in the world at the moment, I think that people need this more than ever. They need music like this, which again isn't trying to incite something in you. It isn't trying to pick at you, you know. It's a friend, you know. I don't even mind that it's a slow dance, you know, through composed composition of 6 minutes 12. I don't mind the length of it because it's making me feel better. It's almost like it does just kind of calm and heal you, and it's so important for music to be of any kind of benefit to you, you know, especially in a wholesome way, you know. And a lot of that will come from the experience that you have with the music within itself, the situation where you're interacting with it. But, you know, at the same time, it's just, you know, wow. Because it's not just like the overall sound of it, it's the quality of the recording as well. Like, if these are samples, these are some professional level samples. Like, it's hard for me to believe that they did not get people to play these instruments themselves towards the album. It's just unbelievable. It's so impressive. It will never not be engaging for me, this kind of stuff, you know. And it's just so wild that was just 6 minutes that passed there. And I know that I was talking to you as I went through it. It's because it allows you to sort of voice yourself. It allows you space to figure out your own conclusion to the track as time goes on in the universe. It literally says, ponder, smile, and make the best in your earthly travels. You can imagine listening to that as you go through a spaceship through space, but also it allows you time throughout whatever you're going through in order to be able to reevaluate and sort of like idealize. And, you know, it's great. It's great. We've got Calm Across the Earth, track number 3, though. Calm, serene, and a peaceful feeling. Let's share it. And now this is 8 minutes, but because we've had tracks at 4:20 and 6:10 respectively, I'm not worried about this being an 8-minute track. I'm not like, oh, you know, goodness gracious, we're screwed. It's not that at all. You know you're in safe hands, and that's what you need. That's when you can get away with having a longer track, is when you know that they can do it well with 4 or 6. We've got a choir in here as well. That's kind of sweet, isn't it? Again, a different texture. We haven't had the choir up until this point, you know. If you wanted to incorporate similar instruments throughout your album, that's totally fine, but it can help to have sort of add like a unique like ingredient, like choirs, for example. And that breathiness there is just, oh, it's just dreamlike, isn't it? I wonder what they're using to get that sound there, the whishy sound on the right. I would like to know. I'm genuinely interested with that, you know? Because sometimes, like, you know, I've done, like, I've reviewed a lot of tracks at this point in time, and you just come across instruments that you never even, like, idealized before, you know? It's just, it's so cool how creative people are. So cool how creative people are. Especially if they're using synthesizers and they come up with stuff. This kind of stuff is just stock, you know? Like, they use a synthesizer that they've got and they program it to something completely new. Just blows your mind. The little oscillating sparkles there, that sub-layer there. It's just the little things that can make it really, really, really engaging, you know? You know, it could sound kind of like cheesy, like sci-fi kind of fantasy, if there wasn't this sort of grounded nature to the arrangement. You know, I've heard music that is done sort of like this. It can kind of be kind of campy and sort of seem a little bit more, a little bit. It's either a little bit too serious or it just becomes kind of silly. And I think that Ellis Hadlock tries to avoid both of those things and comes up with their own sort of direction for it. It genuinely feels as if they could do some work in film, and I really hope that they're doing that kind of stuff, if they're not already. Nice voicing of the string on the right. And the smoothness between those notes and that lead vocal there is just so succulent, dude. Almost like a portamento synth. It's something really unique. You know, when you've got an 8-minute song, it can sort of be like, right, you've got 8 minutes, you've got the main theme instantiated at the beginning. What do you do to improve upon it as we go along? So that'll be the kind of thing that sticks with me. It's like, yeah, I know we're probably going to have a good time overall, but how do they make it great by continuing to keep it fresh? But that said, we're over the halfway point. A lot of people struggle to get to 2 to 3 minutes, and we're at 4, and we don't even seem like we were like, sort of pushing it. There's a sense of, oh, see what I mean? That guitar there. That's the additional element. Well done. Yep. See, the tricky thing for me is that I typically am in a mid to high stress sort of state. You know, I get anxious. I'm an anxious person. And this is so peaceful that it makes me want to take a nap. You know, this makes me want to sleep. And that's obviously not the point of what we're doing today. We're doing a music review. And I don't want people to think that I'm bored. Because if I'm not. I'm not bored by this at all. But it's just so relaxing that it makes me want to take a snooze. And it's like, no, Logan, you need to be professional. You can take a nap afterwards. And that within itself is indicative of music that is quite powerful, you know? It's quite powerful. Yeah, it's definitely not mucking around, you know? Not mucking around. Calm across the earth. I do think we need a bit of calm and peace around the earth, to be honest. It would be great if things could just chill out a little bit. Just chill out a little bit. Oh? That was, considering what we've heard so far, that was a reasonably quick shift here. There was a bit of wispiness that was there for a minute. And it's come back a little bit with these choirs, these backing vocals. And we've heard a few of these sort of melodic themes before. I mean, we know, I like that we return to them, you know, even a track that's through composed. It's probably worth, you know, revisiting some of those parts, especially if people enjoy them. I know that's something you kind of sort of come across in post. And once you've released something, you can't know if people will like something until you show it to them, right? But yeah. But like, honestly, it's gorgeous, dude. Now, we had the strings for quite a while. I mean, we had the vocals and the choir for quite a while, but the strings... Is there anything else in there? Interesting production, interesting effects chain on that piano there. It's very, very, very subtle, isn't it? They're not wanting to highlight it too much. They know where the focal point needs to be. And that was it. That's kind of crazy how it just finishes like that. You know, you go on a long, long, long journey. Which again is not an easy thing to cover. It's not easy writing a song that is 8 minutes long. I mean, I know that if you like just kind of, if it's kind of like mindless, I suppose you could improvise on an instrument or something like that for 8 minutes. But to calmly and collect, you know, to be able to structure a track like that for 8 minutes, remain interesting, whilst being that peaceful, you know, whilst not trying to instantiate any sense of chaos or discord or anything like that. That is truly a unique feat within itself. And I'm really proud of Ellis so far for these 3 tracks we've had. Calm Across the Earth as Time Goes On, I Treasure Every Second. We got Bittersweet Truth next. Sometimes it's difficult to realize or embrace the truth. Once you do, you understand and feel the sweetness. Great. Track number 4. What will we do differently this time? Oh, we're going for that major tilt. I was thinking we were going to go for a minor there. We've got some extensions going on there, some extended sevenths or something like that. It's very dreamy though, isn't it? I wonder if Ellis has done any sort of collaborations with any other sort of vocalists or anything like that. Would not surprise me if they had. But also, it seems like this kind of stuff is really their wheelhouse at the same time, you know? I like the personality behind this album too, you know? You look at calm, serene, and a peaceful ending, feeling let's hear it. Like, that's wholesome. That's really... I love that. That's respectable. You know, and bittersweet too. Sometimes it's difficult to realize or embrace the truth, but once you do, you understand and feel the sweetness. I think that's part of the reason why we have the extended harmonies in this track here, these sevenths and stuff, because sevenths are typically quite bittersweet. You know, they're not a complete They're not a complete commitment to a major chord. You know, you have that major seventh there that clashes with the root or the octave, and it can be kind of spicy, you know. A nice high-end resonance there, and like not the mid-highs, but the highs there. It shines and twinkles like a star, you know? Oh there. Again, we're trying to avoid any harsh sounds even with the percussion. So that thump there was nice. That was nice and well-rounded, and it was, I think there was a bit of filtering on it as well. You know, that's a skill. That's a skill, being able to pull that off. It's one thing to try and get a punchy kick, but to get like a round one that kind of fits in with the, you know, the... Ooh. Oh, what are we doing with these strings on the sides, dude? They're a little bit pluckier, aren't they? I mean, like, even with these plucks on the side with a little bit more energy, which I think is a smart thing to bring in at this point, having a little bit more kind of, just, because if it gets too smooth, then it sort of becomes like a wave that you're rolling through. Having that almost insinuates you're going to have change to something else later on, so it's a great sort of litmus test. Adds a kind of a sense of sort of groove direction to the track that you might not have had otherwise. Would have taken a long time to figure out how you were going to process these different parts. Because if you look at it from face value, you've got these half notes or whole note sort of melodies that are intersecting and interweaving, but at the same time it's like, yeah, that's fine, but it doesn't necessarily mean that's an easy thing to either play or sort of compose. You have to know exactly when to bring that quarter note or half note or whole note in, and how long it's going to be held against another one that's coming in, and just stack the melody, the harmony like that. It's just, it's clever stuff. Again, I mean, I've said it a lot of times. I don't want to reiterate it too much. You know, don't want to sound like a broken record, but yeah. And we just finished like that. Lovely decay tail on those string parts as well. It emanates that kind of peacefulness that I've come to expect from the previous 3 tracks so far. You know, 4 tracks so far we've had, you know, Bittersweet Tooth as well as the rest. Consistently dope. Keen to hear more. Alright, we've got A Story to Dream. May your dreams tell a story to dream by. Track number 5. Oh, that's a pretty piano part to come in with here. A little bit more instant than we've had so far, but I like that. It's nice to have that change of expectation with the intro, you know? I like the fact that we've got the choir on this side, and then we have the piano on that side. It's nice to have those opposing elements pan each other, especially when they can occupy similar frequency spectrums. You don't want them getting too close together and muddling themselves up and to get a bit of muddiness in there, you know, even those higher ranges. Oh, it's so peaceful, dude. I can't get over this, man. I think I've needed this for quite a while, you know? Okay, we're going with some... Okay. Now that was kind of cool. I've heard this chord progression a few times in music, but the thing that kind of changes it up a little bit for me is the fact that we had those higher notes on top, extending it a little bit. It made it less generic, and I appreciate that. We didn't just rely on that sort of bass triad. No, I mean, I can't sing. I'm just trying to get those notes in that harmony, that chord there. Again, we know how to get these individual parts to play select notes to form a bigger chord, you know? And it's about, you know, part of what, you know, songwriting entails is not only understanding how to get an individual instrument to sound good, but also to get it to play well with the others that you have involved. You effectively got to get yourself to collaborate within yourself, you know? I'll return back to that flute. We quite like that flute. We're a fan of that texture there. That's cool. Again, it comes in and it never gets... It's never a detriment. No, it's not a... It's never a detriment. I gotta respect him for that, you know, like... To have that as a layer we've already had on top, still remain fresh, especially when we had longer tracks, is a stunning move. I think it's because you get the you get the oscillation of the thing itself, you know? Like, I would love to buy a pan flute, actually, to be honest. Or whatever instrument this is. I'd love to buy one. I might actually go find one after this. It's such a gorgeous, gorgeous instrument, you know? Oh, that sub drop there with those kind of sizzly, there was a bit of intensity there that we haven't had until now, eh? It was fun, especially how it snaked around the stereo field. Kind of reminded me of like a beam of lightning kind of scissoring itself through the sky, and you know? But of course, the story to dream, that's interpretation, and that's what this is all about. That's what it's all about, dudes. Oh my goodness, it's over? What? That's sad. It went so quickly, dude. We go from like an 8-minute track where it goes quickly to a 4-minute track where it just flies by even more soon, you know? Like, that's just wild, dude. It's great to see Ellis Hadlock and keep the people entertained in short and long form tracks, you know? We've even got Sing the Joy down the bottom, which should be interesting, eh? I like that we've got that range, and we may even be considering Sing the Joy as being a single of some kind, although I feel like given I'm trying not to be like overly generous here just because I want to be objective, but at the same time I can't find faults with it. I was going to say, you know, any of these tracks could potentially be single worthy, even with the length of them, just because they're so gentle and generous the whole way through. But yeah, we got Make It Soar. In space or on Earth, Make It Soar. I love the sentiment there, dude. It's so wholesome, man. I love the sentiment and the kindness behind it. It's almost like we made music to try and make things better, you know. That's actually sadly and surprisingly rare nowadays. You know, usually it's people trying to write music to... Maybe I'm projecting, because that's something I do, but when people write music a lot of the time, it's therapy. And, so, you know, sometimes if you're in a position where you don't necessarily need to self-medicate, sometimes it can be nice just to make stuff for other people. Or even if you are in a dark place, make stuff that makes yourself happy, and it might even make other people happy, you know? I like how we have some sort of darker tones here. Boom, 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 boom. That was a minor triad. Again, lovely balancing of the frequency spectrum there. Those sub basses roll in and they go out like that, never pumping too much. I don't know how they do that, dude. It's very impressive. Very impressive how they manage that. The sad violin. Will it resolve to major, or we... Oh, there's a little bit of a balance, some sort of a sense of melancholy or bitterness to that. Oh, it resolves to the major, never mind, we're fine. We just wanted to be sort of some artificial or harmonic tension there. Lovely vibrato, those notes. Lovely vibrato, lovely voicing of those notes on those strings there. You really cannot fake that classiness, dude. It's the real deal. It's the real deal. And again, strings are typically a very expressive type of instrument, you know? And granted, you can get it from most types, but you usually know if you want to convey a depth in the human condition, you can typically do it through strings. I mean, I haven't really got a lot else to say here. Like, a lot of the instruments and tones we've had so far have been carried throughout this album. A lot of what I said about the theme at the start kind of... Oh, did I talk about the theme at the start? Like, a little bit maybe rhythmically, and in terms of, like, the coloration of the different parts of the arrangement. But because you've got this kind of slow dance as you go through the track, and no really sudden changes aside from that part with like the scissoring kind of, the sizzly sub bass that we had in like, you know, A Story to Dream. There's not that many kind of massive changes or even minor changes. It's all about that smoothness, kind of making everything as a whole as one, you know? But I do know that I'm going to sleep well tonight. It's very relaxing, dude. Very relaxing. Again, to stress and reiterate, I'm not bored. It's kind of like, it almost overwhelms your senses, but in the best possible way. You know, make it soar in space or on Earth, make it soar. It's almost like there's a sense of importance or to that. It's more than just, oh yeah, things will be okay, just be the best version of yourself. There's more of a, seriously, do it. So those minor triads and stuff, and a little bit of sadness there occasionally. It's kind of like the loss of the chance to be able to do better than what you are. Thoroughly enjoying my time with this track so far. It's great stuff. Great stuff. We have what do we have next? Though the strings pan out and make it soar. We have the ocean to ease the day. Take it all in. The ocean is calling to ease and relax your day. That's charming. I think having these descriptions has helped a lot because it allows you to just not only know what you're getting yourself into, but imagine that image in your mind. And you can just close your eyes, lie back, and be like, oh, I am imagining the ocean right now. It feels very, very, very good against my skin. I mean, like, the obvious thing to do would here be sort of like have some, like, ocean samples of ocean foley or something like that. Now, what is that? Is that a clarinet? Have we got a clarinet in there, or an oboe, or something like that? I used to play the oboe. I was decidedly okay at it. I was never a super duper pro at it. It's because oboe's hard, man, and you chap your lips and stuff like that, dude. It's pretty brutal playing the oboe. Again, those notes just sit beautifully within the mix. You can tell they can go loud if they really want to, but it's not as if you would necessarily benefit from having a really loud master of this kind of music. You know, obviously you have the peaks at like -0.3 or something like that, but compressing and limiting a track like this would kill the dynamic range, and it would make it a little bit less magical, I think. Kind of sound like you're trying to stuff it into a bottle or something like that, you know? Yeah, no, definitely peaceful, man. I don't know how you're feeling listening to this. Hopefully you're feeling as relaxed as I am, you know? But like, for what it's set out to do and what it's described, you know, it has definitely passed that test. Okay, resolving to that minor. Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're going beyond those triads again. Love your unison with these whole notes here. It's great to have this woodwind just by itself, dude. The space in the this track is just splendid. Splendid. This is what I mean about Ellis Hadlock as a composer. Whenever I listen to the material, and I try to remove the bias when I start these reviews for obvious reasons, but I've typically just had a great time. Maybe it is because they're relaxing and because they're like so much therapeutic, you know? But, you know, you've also got to look at the music verbatim, and if that's the kind of music you're listening to, then that's the purpose of it succeeded, right? Therefore, it's totally okay if it's like different to a lot of music you've heard, because just having one composer like this who can help you to feel more like safe and comfortable, I think that's a massive help for anyone that's into music. You know, you can only get so far with certain genres of music. Well, maybe there's something like scratch the itch, and it's the same with this, you know. It wouldn't necessarily always be appropriate to listen to this music, like, in all situations, but, like, you know, in this particular point it is. You know, does this remind me of the ocean? It's like, I don't know. And again, this is another long form track. 6 minutes something, and it's just passing by. And I'm totally fine with just chilling with it. You know, you can be patient with a track like this when it's written well and when the rest of the album so far has been up to scratch. That was a nice rise there. I don't know where we're going though. And that's the fun part. Oh, nice cymbal shimmers there. Okay. Okay. Alright. Yeah, that's the one where I was like, okay, I suppose we're not... I suppose it would have been too obvious to put literal ocean sounds in there, you know? I like the fact that we're kind of trying to imagine that ocean there. I suppose you could say some of the instruments are similar to music that you hear about the ocean or something like that, but it's not like you're going to put under the sea. It's not like you're going to put that into the song or anything like that. But I think that even if I couldn't necessarily hear the ocean in that, again, music's subjective is, and also it's definitely relaxed my day regardless, which is, again, enjoy this ambient, positive, and relaxing film fantasy music for meditation, study, or just to come and light your day. We're nailing that. I am the most chilled out at the moment that I've been in an incredibly long time, and I'm thankful for that. We got Mystery Sauce. You gotta love Mysteries and Wonders of the World, right? Now what is this gonna be? We got some sort of sequences, some synth sequences on the side, dude. Oh, okay. They got the choirs returning for this part, that's fine. But how are we going to bring Mystery Sauce into it, though? It does sound very mysterious, though, like the satellites floating around space, you know? Are the satellites responsible for the secret source? Or the mystery source? I suppose it's more sort of like, it's going for like a conversation about the ethereal side of things, you know? It does sound very mystical. There is a sense of mysticism about this, to be sure. And a nice bit of extra tension here. Going a little bit louder there with those strings. Just because we've had a lot of smoothness so far. Make it a little bit louder. Add there a little bit of a bump in the road, you know, but not too much because we want this again to be a slick, well-connected, well-metered experience. Interesting choice there with these piano parts. I like the filtering on them. It contrasts well with the brightness of those flute parts. I think what I got to show, you know, I got to show some love to what Ellis Hadlock does as well, because, you know, we are very confident with our ability as a composer for us to have had a similar, like to make an entire album about positive and relaxing film fantasy music and to produce and write it this well. Just we have our niche sorted out, I think, at this point. We know who we are. We've got our identity as a musician, you know, songwriter, and we handle it. There's no insecurity there. We're not trying to shove a shorter track in there. We're not trying to find one song with a verse, you know, or with vocals. We're happy for it to be a tapestry that includes different elements and degrees in there. And we're just smashing it, dude. It's never a bad time. I don't know how we could improve something like this. You know, it's got its own identity. It would literally be subjective. It gets to a point where you can't really fault something if you can't find fault with it, you know? I mean, how would you improve something like this? I suppose having some more... Like, I reckon you could probably put a drum kit in here, or put some distorted guitars in here, but then it wouldn't be nearly as peaceful, would it? You have those cymbal shimmers there, those little flicks on there, which is fine. You can have the occasional bit of like an accented short kind of beat is good, but oh, kicks. Oh no, that's like a orchestral drum, isn't it? Or those big boy drums that like they have strapped to their front, they go. Again, but even then, like they're sitting nicely. They're not eager to sidechain it. Boom. Nailed it. Nice piano line and upper range as well. I even like the attention to detail. We'll put that higher piano part in the right side of the keyboard because that's where you'd usually play it from the performance perspective as well, which is interesting. And again, you have the choir panned on the extreme left as well. Those opposites there, but not really opposites because they hold hands really nicely. Mystery Sauce. Yeah, it does kind of maybe consider the mysteries and wonders of the world, but I'm so zen right now that I also feel like, dude, I'm just up for whatever at this point. And then we've got, speaking of being what up for whatever, sing the joy. Whatever way you express joy, just do it. Last track for today. What are we going to do with this last one? Is this Ellis Hadlock here singing? They've got a beautiful voice, haven't they? Oh, those high near falsettos, they simmer. Nice panning on them. You don't want them to be too kind of high. Huh? Almost sounds like they're in the background. It's an interesting decision to put them there, but I suppose if they were too obvious, it would interfere with what you're doing with the piano melodies. It kind of sounds like the sounds are going whoa and then you know what I mean? In your headphones. If I haven't said this already, I'd recommend listening to this album with headphones. You'll get the best experience that way, trust me. It's nice to have the piano mirror that part there. Good sense of unison with the other visual ingredients. I can't believe we're at the end of the album, dude. I can't believe how that has flown by. I am incredulous with the experience we've had. I'm so proud. I'm so proud, dude. And the wishy synths, the wishy-washy pad synths. That was the final track, Sing the Joy, from Ellis Hadlock's album As Time Goes On in the Universe. When I have musicians like Ellis Hadlock, because this is the conclusion, when I review music from musicians like this, I hope for two things. One, that we're still at the same relative level of quality in general of the music in terms of, I suppose, to explain the generalization, songwriting, performance, production, vocal articulation if they're singing or lyrics, structuring, all that kind of stuff. I need them to be able to meet the previous level they had. But the second thing I need is for them to be able to somehow elevate it beyond what we had before. I personally feel that As Time Goes On in the Universe is a step in the right direction. I feel subjectively that this is more of a restrained album than what I remember of the previous ones. There was more flexibility, I think, in some of the tonal or coloration to directions there with the instrumental parts in previous works that I've done from Ellis Hadlock. But I don't necessarily think that it was to the detriment of Ellis Hadlock for it to be a more sort of specific sort of album in regards to like the instruments that were used and everything like that. As Time Goes On in the Universe, I think is meant to be more of a focused concept here. It's more focused on, I think, being that positive ambient experience for people who appreciate instrumental cinematic music. It's meant to be purely focused more on allowing the listener to enter a world outside the current reality that they're in and sit there and dwell in that for a moment and feel safe, secure, and positive and refreshed afterwards. In regards to the tracks that we had within this album, I can safely say that I feel different to how I did before I started listening to it. I have had a heck of a day today. You know, I had a bit of a scare with COVID, for example. I had to take a test today because I was like scared that I had some symptoms of it. I'm totally fine. But, you know, with that alone, it's been a day, you know? And so coming into this, I was like, I'm exhausted. I really, really hope that this isn't a difficult review to do. To be fair, the review just flew by. This album, you know, was one of the easiest ones for me to review. Even with the fact that we had out tracks that were like 4 to 8 minutes long, you know, 8 minutes is long for a song. Usually I limit it at 7.5, but again, I trust Ellis Hadlock at this point in time. The album was talking about, you know, not taking time life for granted. You know, the ways of the universe, wanting to have calm across the earth, the bittersweet truth, you know, understanding and accepting it. Your dreams, flying high, having the ocean to peace out with, the mysteries of the universe, and then finally finding joy in everything regardless. And I feel like we smashed that out of the park, dude. I would wholeheartedly recommend anyone that I know to listen through this album from start to finish. If only for the fact that I feel as if music like this is inherently self-care. I love the precedent that Ellis Hadlock is. And again, I'm not saying this just to be nice. It's not even because I'm biased. It's because of the fact that I just genuinely think there should be more music like this. But only if it's this well done. Only if, because I mean, to go through a more structured way of the conclusion. Obviously there weren't really vocals in this, so I can't really talk about the way the vocal technique was done. The structuring of each of these tracks was through composed. I mean, sure, we had some key melodic sort of motifs that we returned to occasionally. And we did develop the parts, like I remember with Treasure Every Second at the beginning, I talked about the development of the piano parts as well. And introducing different sort of like woodwind or string instruments as went along there, and some interesting sort of synth textures as well, some sub drops. Which was I wasn't expecting that, but somehow they managed to make it work, you know? If I was to like, yo, I listened to a relaxing album with sub drops in it, people are like, oh yeah, sure, it was totally relaxing. But that's just the talent that we have here. That's the skill and the articulation and the implementation of this album as time goes on in the universe. And again, I am not saying this because I'm trying to be super nice. This is genuinely how I feel about it after reviewing it in its entirety. You know, you cannot have a wide understanding or appreciation of an album unless you've listened to it in its whole, absorbed it, taken it in with unflinching focus, and considering the fact that I am feeling so peaceful that I will sleep for like a good half day after this. Lord knows I need it. It's just so pleasant, and I didn't want to stop listening to it, and I'm sad because I will never have that same experience again. But at the same time, I feel as if there is replay value to this. I think that you could listen through this album again, pay attention to different elements of the mix, whether it's the guitars, whether it's the slight bits of percussion, or the string parts, or the piano parts, or whatever, you know, the synth parts, the pads, the automation, all the production stuff I'm going to talk about in a moment. There'll be parts that you hear the second time around or the third time that will make that second or third time special. So in actuality, not only do you have a unique, memorable experience the first time, but you also, you know, it's not just limited to that. And that's not something you can say of every type of art. When you view a painting, you can spend time with the painting, but you see it the once. When you watch a film, there may be stuff you notice that you didn't see it before in the scene, but you've seen it X amount of times, and you've kind of seen and heard it, right? But with song, it's just, there's something about as time goes on in the universe that I feel like I'll appreciate it differently each time. The production and recording and mixing and mastering, I suppose, because I feel like the best way for me to discuss the performances, that there was not a note out of place. The complexity of the arrangement went from one note, sort of like how whole notes, like, you know, you had wide ranges in the complexity of the arrangement, but it never felt like too much or too little. We had changes in those energy levels where it helped in part by the production. You know, the clarity of the notes within the instruments within the mix, and those vocal parts were sensational. Where there were effects changes, they were handled amicably in a way that was friendly to the listener and added to the... There wasn't like trying to polish an unprofessional or lacking performance. It was only an attempt to elevate it. Cueing and the stereo panning automation and everything around the mix, things went from left to right. It's stuff that takes finesse and intelligence and experience, and we've got that after doing the amount of albums I think that Ellis Hadlock music has. You know, it was nice and loud without pumping, and if you had limited this album too much, it would have killed it. I'm sorry, but you can't push this. You need to allow for a wide dynamic or perceived loudness range. You need to be careful when you master something like this, and it was just so elegantly handled. You know, it's one of those albums where even if you think it's quiet, you can just turn it up and have just as good a time. And I'm again, thank you for watching this review of As Time Goes On in the Universe. I would thoroughly recommend, just before we do the outro thing before the credits, please do go and listen to this album in your own time and support Ellis Hadlock. Go buy the album. I think all of their albums are for sale. Go buy it. You literally can listen to it for free, but they deserve your support, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, thank you very much for watching my review of Ellis Hadlock's As Time Goes On in the Universe. Hopefully you enjoyed watching and listening to the music from this album in this review. If you did, please do go show Ellis Hadlock some love via their various social medias and their website. Stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I will catch you in the next review. Spider hands up.